Hello, welcome to this edition of R&B Reviews. I'm Rob, and today I'm once again joined by Darren.
Hello!
And today we're going to be looking at episode 5 of WandaVision, and if you haven't seen this episode, you probably don't want to watch this video because we're probably going to go into spoiler territory. We're going to review the episode. We're also going to talk about some theories of what could happen in the show. And also, if you didn't see our review of the first 4 episodes in another video, check it out. All right, well, this episode has been quite a mind blow, big time. Yeah, now we're kind of veering away from having just episodes where, Vision and Wanda are just paying tribute to shows, and now we're starting to get a bit of both worlds, both the TV show world and the outside world. And I definitely noticed in this episode the cracks starting to come in, because up until now, Vision and Wanda were always, on the same page. But there's a scene in the beginning where Wanda makes a dog collar in front of Agnes. It is Agnes, right?
Right.
Okay, I couldn't remember if it was Agnes or Agnes. We'll talk about that.
Yeah. It's Agnes.
Yeah, but in the
right now.
Yeah, but in the other episodes, they do their magic when there's nobody around. But Vision's like, but why? Wait, she was right there, and she's like, oh, she wasn't looking. So I'm wondering. I didn't know whether it was because she's gotten more comfortable around Agnes, or whether it's because if you look at the TV shows from the 50s and 60s, women were a little bit more following the rules in their place, but in the 80s and 90s, the characters were starting to be a little bit more opened up, feminism and everything. So I'm wondering whether that was the theme with this, because this episode is kind of based on family ties.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and the twins have aged. They can age themselves in this episode. So, and I also noticed some other little interesting things here, because where do I begin here? Okay, like in this episode, all the characters in Vision's office start to work on computers, and somebody from the outside world sends an email, and Vision is able to somehow pull these people out of the TV show world. And the one person he talks to, I don't remember his name, but he keeps saying, she's in my head, she's controlling everything, and then Vision's able to put him back into TV show world. So I was kind of wondering, and this is probably theory territory, who is she? Is it Wanda, or is there somebody else involved? But it was also something I did notice is, I guess, Wanda is able to go outside this TV world, because at one point she does, and she talks to Monica Rambeau and Randall Park's character and Kate Denning, and she's like, her accent comes back. She's like, this is my world. This is where I want to belong. You just stay out and leave me alone, type of thing. So she's able to leave her own world. So it does kind of. I mean, we'll talk about it a little bit. We're veering on theory territory. So, but this is interesting. But the biggest
we weren't going to go there, but
we went there. But the biggest mind shock for me was the ending. And if you have not seen the ending, then you probably shouldn't be watching this video. It's Quicksilver comes back, but it's the wrong Quicksilver. It's the Quicksilver from the Fox films, not the one from not from the Avengers movies from Marvel.
Yeah, it's Evan Peters. It's not Taylor Aaron Johnson. Yeah.
But
Aaron Taylor Johnson.
Yeah, but I do feel like now we're starting to go away from having purely homage episodes now, and which is kind of sad for me. But but I mean, I think they did a good job of balancing both worlds. So.
Yeah, and I mean, it really gets real in this episode. But I'm gonna be like Wanda and rewind back from the theory right now. What I really loved about this episode was just when it opened up, like you said, I even said that, I feel like I'm watching Family Ties again with the Keatons and Mallory and Michael and all that. And it really set a wonderful tone, because the twins do quite escalate in their age. Well, for layman's terms, let's just say grow up.
Yeah.
Quite before our eyes, before the audience's eyes. And what did they do in that opener? They basically grew up, and same thing with Family Ties. So it was just a wonderful comparison to that era, that 80s show, to do that. And it really set the tone for the entire episode. Let's talk about Wanda, how she cannot silence the twins. So you would think that she would have control over everything in that realm, but she does not. There are other forces that have yet to be revealed that are working against her. And one of the forces, I think, is Agnes. She is definitely that Agatha Harkness, which we'll get into the theory of that. But I also think that we also have something even darker that lies beneath, and that is Mephisto, and we'll have to get into the theory of that as well too. But because she, like, Scarlet Witch cannot resurrect the dead. She even said that. So how she was able to bring Vision back is just mind-blowing in itself. No pun intended.
Well, yeah,
but he also has the Time Stone too. But how could she resurrect the Time Stone from Thanos? I mean, everything was destroyed in that gauntlet. So she's either a little bit more powerful than what we realized, or something is just bubbling.
Yeah, and something I forgot to mention in the episode, you know how in the last video I said there was a deleted scene in Endgame where somebody's pulling out Vision's body?
Yeah.
Well, there's a scene where the Sword is watching this security camera footage of Wanda going in there and taking him.
Yeah.
So it's that kind of we talked about it in the last episode. So that's
I mean we definitely saw that firsthand. They show the footage. I mean, all our questions were really answered in this half an hour.
Yeah, but you said how can she bring Vision back and everything? Well, what if she didn't? Do you think since you know the comic book characters, do you think Agnes, possibly Agatha, might have helped her do that?
All right, so now I guess we're gonna have to get into the theory.
Yeah.
Okay, so Agatha Harkness, she basically is a witch from the Salem witch trials, which she was living like before the fall of Atlantis, which really pays the question, like, maybe Namor would know of her or something, but I don't think we're at that point in the MCU yet. But Agatha, she basically is the Salem witch. She creates New Salem. She actually has a son named Nicholas Scratch. Was it the first or second episode? I'm kind of hazy on that fact. Maybe it's Wanda playing with my mind. But Agnes does have a rabbit named Senior Scratchy, and
it was the second episode because it was the magic act.
Okay, it was the magic act. Okay. Damn Wanda. So Senior Scratchy was like Agatha's son is named Nicholas Scratch, which they Marvel laid that out perfect. I mean, he basically was this just almighty wizard, and back in New Salem, he turned the whole Salem 7 against Agatha, which was a group that she kind of created, and he basically took over, and he basically wanted to kill his mother. So what Agatha did was she defeated Nicholas Scratch and imprisoned him, and he's at the realm. He became good buddies with Mephisto. So, and you got to realize that in that magic act, Wanda could not control what happened with that rabbit. Okay, so Agatha Harkness, we haven't seen it yet, but she also has a black cat called Ebony, and this black cat it's basically her familiar, and it can shapeshift, it can just grow big. It's just really a powerful animal, but we have yet to see that in WandaVision.
Unless it's one of the characters, maybe, for all you know.
Yeah, it could be one of the characters because it does shapeshift.
Do you think it could be, what's his name, Hayward or Hayward or whatever it is, maybe?
I don't think it's him. I really don't think it's him, but
it could be a character in the
there
TV
is
world.
a theory. I mean, Agatha Agnes, she's really playing dumb at this point. I mean, she really does know what's going on, but then in some parts it just looks like she just is totally clueless, like the rest.
Yeah.
So I really don't know what to think.
Yeah, well, here's, I mean, granted, I have not read theories on, I mean, I just watched the episode now and it came out yesterday, so I haven't been online and read theories. But
I'm the theory fanboy, not Rob.
Yeah, I'm wondering, because in the episode, one of Vision's coworkers said she's in my head.
Yeah.
I didn't know whether, at first I wasn't sure if it was Wanda that's controlling everything, or whether it's Agnes controlling everything, and maybe she's controlling Wanda, or maybe Wanda and Agatha are working together.
Right, right. And getting back to the twins, when Agatha was rocking them, and she sprayed her lavender oil. I mean, that's all witchy 101, right
when the
there.
kids age, she's unfazed. She's not like, what the hell,
Right. Right.
And like I said, I noticed in some episodes she's talking to the neighbors, and you're wondering, whether she's in on her now, because I don't think she's part of the so-called missing sword agents that were on the board. So that means she's in on it somehow.
Yeah, she did not have a license on that board. She did not. The rest of the townspeople did, not her.
Yeah.
So
I think I think if she's training Wanda in magic powers, I think they're working together. I still think maybe Wanda wanted to escape and she wanted to create a home like those TV shows she saw to learn English and stuff. But I mean, Vision is starting to get suspicious of everything.
Oh yeah,
there's a nice scene near the end where he's onto it and everything. So I mean, I think they're definitely working together. But the whole thing with Quicksilver coming back kind of threw me for a loop. Do you think? I mean, could that be Manifesto, or could it be another character, or could that really be him?
I'm thinking it's Mephisto. Okay, so
I pronounced his name wrong. Sorry.
For years I pronounced Thanos wrong. So you're in the clear with that one, Rob. So let's get into a little bit about Mephisto. Basically, he is a cosmic entity that rules the Hell realm that we kind of talked about in the last video.
Yeah.
But he is a big part in the MCU, as well as Agatha Harkness herself. So we also know that Agatha, she hasn't revealed her husband yet. We hear all about Ralph all this time, but and she just leaves clues, for us fanboys. It's just like Ralph looks better in the dark, and it's just crazy trivia going on and conspiracies in WandaVision. It's just enough to make your head spin. Mephisto is buddies with Thanos. I mean, he did serve underneath him. Thanos, I don't think we saw him really just get defeated. I really don't think that's the case, because we now have Eternals coming up. I mean, I think he's a little bit more powerful than what we saw.
Oh, really?
Actually, so I wouldn't be surprised if he did come back in some other form or something like that. But let's talk about Mephisto. He is a shapeshifter, and Evan Peters, they did peg him to be Mephisto. Now, one of the things, getting back to Wanda, is she cannot resurrect the dead. Mephisto can. He basically is seen as like the savior of the unfortunate. What the devil gives, he can also take away as well. So we do also have Mephisto reoccurring Spider-Man, when Joe Quesada, he took over for as the chief editor of Marvel, he wrote in a Kingpin's sniper. Kingpin actually gets a sniper to assassinate Peter Parker, but the bullet actually hits Aunt May instead, and she supposedly dies, and then is resurrected once Mary Jane and Peter Parker come together, and they say, okay, you could take our souls in exchange for Aunt May's life. So Mephisto is just a huge character in the MCU, and I really do think that Evan Peters is him. I mean, there's just no more explanation than that. So I think that's why Evan Peters is there. He definitely is Mephisto.
Yeah. Do you think that there's a reason why they got Peters instead of the other guy, or do you think the other guy just wasn't available, so they went with Peters?
You know, it could have been with the Fox merger. You know, Aaron Taylor Johnson, he lost out, and Evan Peters got the title because we know a little bit more about him. I mean, they killed Aaron Taylor Johnson in Age of Ultron, his first appearance. You know, I mean, we saw a little bit of that in the previous Avengers, but that was at the end, and he didn't really have much of a part. But Evan Peters is a wonderful choice. I didn't think that they would go with him.
I didn't think they would either.
Not this soon.
Yeah, well, I mean, I think they would, in order to be consistent, they would have, gone with, Aaron Taylor Johnson from,
Right.
Age of Ultron.
Yeah.
You think?
Yeah, you would think that. But yeah, I really do think that he is the Lord of Darkness himself, the Mephisto. So we also have Agatha now. Now, she actually died in the comics as well. Nicholas Scratch defeated her, and then she all of a sudden comes back. So, I mean, maybe she kind of summoned Mephisto to Westview, but also, Wanda and Vision, it just leads that in the comic book, that they do have their children, and it is taken away because they are soul fragments of a Mephisto. And whether or not Agatha gave it back to Mephisto or he reabsorbed everything, it just there's a lot of the unknown taking place here. It's just nuts what is going on, and how soon they're introducing all this into everything.
Yeah.
So.
And it's kind of nuts hearing you talk about all this. It's what's a lot?
It is. I mean, it's a lot. It's a lot to take in. But we do know that Tommy and Billy, Scarlet Witch goes crazy in the House of M because they are taken away from her. And I really do see that coming. And it was just really funny. I was going through social media, and I found this interview with Elizabeth Olsen and Paul Bettany. I think it was them interviewing them for Age of Ultron, and she's says her favorite storyline is the House of M, but Marvel isn't gonna do that. And that was years ago, and now we're here in 2021, and they're doing it. They're really doing it. I'm just exhausted.
Yeah, I'm
talking about everything.
Yeah. Like I said, my personal take based on what I'm seeing. Now, Brandon, I'm not an expert like you. I do think that I don't think Agnes is controlling Wanda. I think they're working together, and I still believe, like I said in the last video, that Wanda's just tired of all the carnage and all the fighting, and kind of like people who are just tired of what's been going on in 2020.
Yeah.
And so so they either create this world or this TV world where she can, get over, because like I said, in those old 60s and 70s TV shows, everything everything was upbeat, everything was nice. There was nothing really controversial.
Right.
Mainly, it was just nice and peaceful. And I think that's what she wants in her world, and she wants Vision back, and she's got it and everything. Because even she said, when she's leaving the TV world to confront, Monica Rambeau and everybody, she's like, this, she's this. But I mean,
and now we also know why Monica Rambeau like survived that, just like that wall thrashing that Wanda gave her, because
she doesn't want to hurt anybody, really.
Well, no, she doesn't. I mean, she just wants to be at peace. Wanda created this reality, or her fantasy for herself, because she's just tired of all the shit. Yeah. Really, I mean, who can blame her? But oh my gosh, just getting back to that stork. In the third episode, like she could not control it, and you do see that whole like red smoke and all that. I mean, I'm sure that's Mephisto, and he's coming like he want. I mean, in the comics, Mephisto does want them to have children. He also wants Peter Parker and MJ to get married too, and then he wants to take it all away because that's what the Lord of Darkness does. He brings happiness, but then he gets off on just making people unhappy. And that's what we're seeing in WandaVision too. It's just like her happiness is threatened right now, but it's mainly because of Sword. But I think there's something that lies underneath, and I think we're going to see that with Agatha Harkness, aka Agnes, pretty soon. And then there's the whole the whole theory that William, Billy, aka the Wiccan, pretty soon, is like he probably has some control over it too, because he kind of has the same powers as Wanda herself. So, I mean, just so much just coming into play here. And what's up with those damn hexagons? I mean, that was throwing me for a loop until Darcy Lewis, Kat Dennings,
call it the hex.
Yeah, called it the hex. And, Monica Rambeau went with it. But we also see the hexagon as a shape of 6 sides, which it could be Mephisto because the number of the devil is 6. So we got that, but then we also have Ant-Man, and the Wasp, the design of that, of just like the whole just the whole art of Ant-Man and the Wasp. They have hexagons on there, which can lead to the quantum realm, which can lead to Doctor Strange with the Multiverse of Madness. Now, there is one other villain that people are saying that could be, but I really think it's Mephisto right now, and that is Nightmare, the Lord of Illusions himself, a cosmic entity that's right up there with Thanos and Galactus and Mephisto and Ego, the Living Planet, and the Watcher and Eternity, and it's just he's a cosmic being. Big villain in Thor, but he also serves under a really crazy culty entity called Shumagorath. And that's basically like the big eye with tentacles and all this. And if this isn't signing up for the Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness, I don't know what is. I mean, and it's all starting with Mephisto, and there's rumor that Nightmare could be the villain, and it's just nuts what Marvel is doing to us. It's just really nuts.
And for the casual person like me, it's like it's like you mentioned these clues that I didn't pick up on. Like the business with the Stork. I thought it was just comical, like they're paying tribute to the shows where there's a lot of physical comedy and stuff like that. I thought that's what they were going for. I didn't realize the Stork was part of something bigger, or could be something bigger.
and the rabbit himself too. Like when I found out that Agatha Harkness, like her son was in prison, and she defeated him. Nicholas Scratch, Senor Scratchy. It's just like it's like a bell went off, and it's just like, oh my gosh, they're doing this, they're doing that, and it's just like, oh, wow. So, and they're doing it so just like with finesse. I mean, I as a fanboy, I'm ready to just have a major headache with everything that's going on,
or could happen,
or could happen. Just the conspiracies are endless.
Yeah, because I know right before you told me like these theories that probably won't be happening because it's too complex, or there's no way they can fit it all in.
But they're fitting it in. That's the thing. They're fitting it in like little by little. And it's just like, you just don't know what's up in Westview. You really don't. I mean, and it's just not, we're just not watching the MCU. We're watching the 50s, the 60s, the 70s, the 80s, the 90s. I mean, it's amazing what WandaVision is.
Yeah.
And we got the Winter Soldier after this. I mean, it's, oh my gosh. And then Loki. And there was a footage leak that like Nick Fury could be making an appearance in WandaVision as well in the commercials, where he has the Quicksilver card, which I don't know if they leaked that on purpose because we see Quicksilver now. So, I mean, it's just nuts, everything, and I'm just. My mind is blown. I am shot with this. I am shot with this video, Rob. I am just like ready to. Let's wrap it.
Okay, gotcha. All right. Okay. Well, I don't really have anything else to add except there's 4 more episodes to go, so we'll see what happens. But I'm still sticking with my theory that the two are, Agatha, Agnes, and Wanda are working together. I don't think Agnes is controlling Wanda. I think they are working together. I think Wanda's just, got bought into this promise about this, life and everything, and she just wants to be left alone, and we'll just keep it at that. We'll see, though.
Yeah.
Okay, well, I assume there's nothing else you want to...
Okay, one more thing. I just have to. Okay, so they really caught me off guard, because on Internet Movie Database, they had the Halloween episode, and I thought we were going to go into the Halloween episode, but now the kids are growing to where they are trick-or-treating age, so I'm definitely hoping that is in episode 6.
Yeah, I wonder what TV show
But isn't it weird that 6, again, the number of the devil, and we have Evan Peters enter the mix here. I think there's going to be some real, the shit's going to hit the fan in this next episode. I mean, everything is going to be, there's going to be some major reveals going on. I mean, with Halloween and all that going to happen. Okay. And there was also Funk Pop, the Pop Funko figures leaked, and it was Tommy and Billy, and I'm just like, whoa, what's the episode 6 has to reveal everything that we're hoping or thinking about. It just has to make sense. But Agatha Harkness, they did give that trailer where she is wearing the witch hat, and Vision kind of wakes her up from the reality. But I think she's just plain dumb, really. I think she knows what's going on in Westview, and she's under Mephisto and working with him, and she's on one mission to help her raise these kids and to let Mephisto take them away. Okay. I'm thinking that, but then we see the good side of Agatha too, where it can link to the Fantastic Four, because she does provide her services to Reed Richards and Sue, and watch over Franklin, their newborn son as well. So she's a magical babysitter, Agatha Harkness, and I don't know, but I'm toast
Okay.
right now. Wrap it up, Rob.
Okay. All right, guys. Well, that's it for this episode. Now, if you have your own theories or if your own thoughts about WandaVision, feel free to post comments in the comments box below.
Yep.
Feel free to check out reviews of other movies that you can watch in the comforts of your own home or perhaps in your local cinema if it's open. And feel free to hit this like button. Please hit the subscribe button and
Smash it.
Smash it. All right, guys. Take care and thank you for watching.
Thank you. Bye.